Hi, in this brief tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can create interactive dynamic dashboards in Excel. Interactive in the sense that as you click on certain portions of your spreadsheet, uh, it will display the currently selected information depending on what you have clicked. So something we're going to create will look something like this. So I want to show you how you can actually do that in Excel. Now one may ask, why do we create dashboards in Excel, interactive dashboards? The answer is simple. Dashboards are a powerful way of actually summarizing the information that you've created in your Excel spreadsheet. For example, in my case here, you can see that if I just want to see certain expenses that I incurred in a particular month of January, they'll be filtered here because I'm using these slicers here. Or if I just want to see the expense on the cable or satellite TV, I'll filter it so that I can see how the trend is going, how my expenses are going on the payments for satellite. Or if it's electricity usage, I'll be able to summarize to say, the bill for electricity is actually going up, it's not flat, it's not going down, and that. Or I can compare two expenses, gas and electricity, how are they faring? So dashboards, interactive dashboards, are powerful ways of summarizing and filtering information so that you can have a glance straight away without going into the nitty-gritties. So let's get straight to see how we can do that. So the first thing you've got to do is to make sure that you've arranged your information, you've cleaned it up. Like in my case here, I've given this information headings here, column headings. There's month, category, expense, amount, and performance. And the months are there. I've categorized it in electricity, because under electricity I can have electricity units or lighting and things like that. And then I have also the amounts there and the performance. I just want to grade how is this expense performing in comparison to the other expenses, so I can give it percentages out of 100. So the first thing to do, once you've done that, you create a table. So I'll just press Ctrl T, a shortcut for creating a table. And because my information here is well organized as headings, it will give me this. It will ask me, my table has headers, and I'll just say OK. So this straight away has been converted into a table right away. And as you can see in here, the table has been given a name, table 1. You can give it a different name if you want. So once you've done that, what we do is we're going to insert a pivot table and a pivot chart. So we go to the Insert tab here so that we can do just that. So when I go on Insert, I click on Pivot Chart like that. So the table is already selected, it has included it here, and it will be added in the new worksheet. And it's always better to add it in the new worksheet because a pivot chart or a pivot table can be large and can occupy too much space. So I'll just say OK. And once I do that, what I get here now is a section here, an area where the pivot table will be inserted, and also the area here, the placeholder where the pivot chart will be inserted. So alright, let's get down to business. Once you do that, if I come here, this section here on my right, I'll see that I have legend here. In other cases it will show columns, and here to show rows, but because I'm dealing with a table, they're pivot table, so it has legend and axis there. So once I do that, I want to add, for example, I want to add fields here, these pivot chart fields, which will be placed here, which will act as rows. So in this case, I want to put category and an expense. So I've added them there. In the column here, in the legend section here, what I want to add is the amount. And once I do that, you get to see that actually a pivot table has been inserted here. And then I have a pivot chart here. I can choose to resize it so that it's bigger and so on and so forth. So what I want to have here is I want to have a bar chart so that these categories here, you see, they are on my left. So what we do, I'm going to change the chart type. So what I'll do is I come here on design and say change chart type, and then what I want is a bar chart. There are other options here, but I want to use a bar chart for now, and I say okay. So you see it has flipped it that way. So I'll just push it a little bit this side like that. So let's do a bit of cleanup here. These field headings, I don't want them. Category expenses, because they're self-explanatory. You can see this is sanitation, phone. I can tell that under sanitation there's trash, there's sewer, and so on and so forth. So what I'll do is right click on these category headings and I say hide axis, and also there, and I say hide. I hide it. So this just cleans it up and it creates more room for me to work with. Then the other thing I want to do is just to get rid of this legend here. I can delete it because I only have one color. All right, and once I do that, the next thing I'm going to do is to remove this here, because my chart, you see what I'll do, I'll put the values on the bars themselves, because like this I'll have to estimate that, okay, that amount is there, but I want the bars themselves to indicate the amount that is there. So I'll say, okay, the chart title should be there. Then data labels, you see I've included them. The data labels are now showing. Instead of estimation like that, I can see that this is 980 and so on and so forth. So once I've done that, it means I'll not have to need, for example, the grid line. In this case, I'll not need that one at all. And then I'll come here on the first one on the axis, because I have two axes, this column, the vertical and the horizontal. So I'll come here on the axis and I'll deselect this one so that it disappears from there, since I've added the values on the bars themselves. All right, so once we do that, so we have the data labels and we have the chart title there, and I'm pretty much okay with that. Now these values, some of them will be in thousands, so it's better to add a comma so that it's easy to read those values. And the way to do that is you come to the pivot table. In the pivot table here, you click on any of these numbers here, you right click on them, and when you right click, is go to value field settings. So when I come to value field settings, this small window comes here, and I'll click on number format. And so when this other window comes, it's on general currently, but I want it to be on number. And once it's on number, then I'll click here, use a 1000 separator, and I do not want to have decimal places, so I'll just leave it on 0 like that. And once I do that, I click OK, and again I click OK like that. So you see it has added commas here, but more importantly, it has also added commas on the chart itself like that. So this makes it much easier for me to actually read out the numbers without difficulties. So once I've done that, the next thing I'll do now is I can choose to put these in ascending order. As you may probably see here, they are in ascending order: cable, electricity, gas, phone. So they're in ascending order, but here starts with sanitation, phone, and so on and so forth. I can do that if I wanted. So I just click on the chart, and I have this that has come here. So what I'll do, I'll click on this section here where I have the categories and the expenses, and I'll scroll down. I need to scroll down because I'm on there. So axis options, make sure that you're on axis options, this chart axis options, then axis options, because there are other options here. But what I want to do is categories in reverse order. So I'll click there, so to start with, it will be in ascending orders. It will match the pivot table like that. So once I do that, I can close that. Then the next thing I'm going to do now is to actually now add a pivot chart, a slicer. A slicer is just something that you use to filter through the information. You'll see how that works. So what I'll do on the category here, let me see on the month. I want to add a slicer on the month. So I right click on the month, and say add a slicer. All right, so I have now these months here. I have these months here showing March, April, January, February, like that. So these, what they'll do is when I click on that, they'll simply filter to select only the expenses for that particular month, like that, as I click like that. So this is what the slicer will basically do. So I want to add a slicer like I have done here. I could have chosen all the months there so that they're in ascending order from January to December, but I've just selected the months which I'm working with right now. So the slicer is simply a filter. It's just simply a filter. So let's do a few things to the slicer here. So I'll right click on the slicer and I'll go to slicer settings. I do not want to have this heading here, the month heading, because it's self-explanatory. We can see that it's March, February, March. And then I say OK. And what I want to do, if I can just move this chart heading here for now, and then maybe call it expenses. I call it expenses. What I want to do to this slicer, I can come on the options here and increase the columns. Right now it shows one column, so they're listed like that. But if I increase the columns, I want to have 4 columns like that, and then I just resize it a little bit so it fits like that. I'm just resizing like that. Then I bring it over here, okay, so that this slicer actually applies to this chart here only, so that when I click here only, this chart changes here. So that's why I've done it this way. So having done that, what I'll do now is I'll select both of them, both the slicer and the chart, the bar chart. So I clicked on this one, and then I'll just press shift key and select the slicer as well, and press the Control and X as a shortcut for cutting. So I want to put them on a new worksheet like that. So I'll put them here for now, and I'll call this dashboard. Yeah, dashboard, so that I can remember that. So this is what we are working with. So I've put this right there. I'm pretty much okay with the way it looks. The next thing I'm going to do, so I can actually resize this table, so that I increase the size a little bit. And as I resize, I hold down the Alt key so that it snaps to the grid lines like that. As I resize, it will snap to the grid lines. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to my data here, and then I'll copy this information here. Copy this information here, and then I'll just paste it in here like that. So what I want to do is to create another chart based on this information, because this one I've used it for that chart that we've created. So this one I want to create another chart. So in this case, what I want to do, I want to arrange a few things. Okay, so this one, for example, I want to make the categories to be in the row section there, and then I'll take this one out. Okay, so I have then I also have the months. Yeah, so now what I have is I have now the months here, and then the categories are on top there. So I've just rearranged a few things so that I can have another chart altogether, a different one, which I'll paste there. What I've just basically done is, as you select these things, they get applied there, but it depends on what you want to filter here. So I want to filter now in this month. I want to see how much I used for March, how much I used for this category and this category, and so on and so forth, and the totals at the bottom like that. So having done this, let me just, at the same time, while I'm at it, let me duplicate this. I'll just copy that information because I'll need to use it later on. But while I'm here in this table here, I want to add a chart here, and this chart is based on categories and the amounts for those categories. So this is what we're going to do here. Straight away, I'll go to Analyze, Pivot Chart. And now, because here what I'm working with is expenses over a period of time from January up to April, what I'll use is a line chart, because it will be best suited to show how they are trending, how my expenses are trending over time. So I'll select the line chart like that, click OK. So in this case, the line chart has been placed right here. Again, what I want to do, because these are self-explanatory, they are months, I'll just remove these. I'll hide all field buttons. Okay, and then while I click on this one, so that this one snaps from end to end, what I'll do once I've clicked on that one, Control 1 and labels, I'll come on labels. I want to put axis position on tick marks. You see what happens? I want them to be right on the tick marks there. So what that has done, it has just stretched this to be from end to end so that it looks neat like that. And I'll leave this one there for now. Once I do that, I'm going to add a slicer here again, and the slicer will be based on the categories. So I'll right click on category, add slicer. So when I add a slicer like that, I want it to be not in column version. I'll come to slicer options and I'll add columns. I want to have 5 columns, and then I'll just have to resize my slicer. I resize my slicer over there, maybe a little bit further, so this one, so yeah, so I have them like that. I'll right click on my slicer settings, remove the heading, no need to have it, they're self-explanatory. So now what I have is a slicer which will apply to this chart here, the line chart. When I click on electricity alone will be filtered. In March, that's the usage, in April like that, so it will be filtered just like that. So having done that, I'll click on this one and also press the shift key down as I click on the slicer so that I cut both of them at once. And when I do that, I'll go to the dashboard, I put them over there. So what I've just done now is I have imported those, so I'll make this a little bit bigger here and click on the slicer alone, drag it so that I put it a bit on top somewhere there for now, and I move the chart right there. I can choose to snap it, but for now I'll leave it like that. I'll just resize it a little bit, I'll so that it is a bit smaller, and then I'll go back now to my workings, the information. So this chart, what I want to do now to this one is I want it not to be based on amounts, because you see there's a category, there's a month, the category, and the amounts. These amounts which have been shown in that chart we've just taken to the dashboard. But here I want to show the the performance. How is this expense performing? So this, I've just, instead of selecting amount, I've selected the performance like that. And what I want to do to these amounts is that I want to show them as percentages. I want to show them as, so I've right clicked on, you can right click on any, and then I'll go to value field settings. The first thing I want to do, because the spread is wide, it's from 0 to 100%, I want to just show averages. So I'll click on averages. I want to show them as averages. Then I'll go to number formatting. I want to show them as percentages, no decimal places. So I take, I put 0 there, and I say OK, and again OK. So as you see, these ones in here now have been converted into percentages like that. So whereas this one is showing us the monthly expenses, but here I want to show in percentages. So while I'm here, I'll go to the analyze so that I can put a chart, pivot chart. Again, I'll use the line chart. I'll select the line chart and say OK. The line chart comes here. So I will just right click on one and then I hide all of them, and I can choose to have actually a chart title. I don't want to have a grid line for now, and chart title, so that I just say this one, I can call it average average performance, monthly performance. You can name it whatever is best for you. Average monthly performance here. For now, I'll just call it average monthly performance. And I'll also do the same like I did to that chart. I'll click here and press Control key and the 1 so that I put these on tick marks. What I want is to select this section here. I come here and tick marks. I click on tick marks. Okay, I have there, but the labels, okay, we have them at the bottom there. Then axis options, okay, I want them on tick marks so it stretches from end to end like that. I can close this for now. So once I do that, I'll just click on the whole chart like that and cut it and then take it to the dashboard. So I'll put it here. I just want them to be uniform for now. So here we don't have a label, but we can call this one, we can give it a chart title. The chart, these are simply expenses. These are simply expenses, except that they are being shown over a period of time. These are expenses, but these are average monthly we can actually monthly performance. And we can add a percentage symbol at the end like that, so that we are reminded when you look here, you see, okay, this one was above 100% usage and so on and so forth. So let's go back and continue adding our more charts. So once I'm here, I'll select these 2 charts. When I select that, I'll put them here, because what I want to do now is to create now another chart which shows how the changes are showing, monthly changes, month-on-month changes. How did I perform in January versus in February? How are the changes going? Is the trend going up? Is it increasing or reducing? Here it just shows the expenses. Basically it just shows the expenses. It was like this, it was like this. But I want to have another chart here now showing the month-on-month changes in terms of sales and also in percentage format. So what I'll do, I'll right click on any number there, then I'll say show value as. When I come to show value as, percentage difference from, okay, percentage difference from. So when I click on this one here, because it will show the differences, so I want to show monthly differences from January to the next month and so on and so forth. So percentage difference, I'll leave it on month here. Then base item, instead of selecting January, because if I leave it on January, it will fix it to that month, but I just want to have previous, so that if I'm on April, the previous will be March. If I'm on March, the previous will be February. So I leave it like that and I just say okay like that. All right, so these will be now percentage changes from month to month. The same with these ones here. I'll do the same, except that these are in percentages. So I come here and percentage difference from, and then I select previous as well. I'm just selecting previous. So when you see this, don't worry, it just means that the data cannot fit. So here now what I want to do is to now analyze using a chart. Remember, we are using interactive charts. So I'm on the first one here. For now, I'll leave it as it is. The clustered column chart is okay for now. I'll use this one. So I'll click there. All right, so it has come here. And what I want to do, I want to get rid of all the field buttons. These field buttons, they're just duplicates. And then I want to get rid of also this axis here, because I want to show the values on the bars themselves. So I'll come here, I'll remove the grid lines, and I'll add the chart title and the data labels like that. And then since I've added the data labels on the bars, I'll come here and remove the primary vertical. So that is like that. So we continue cleaning it up. You see here there's a little bit of congestion. So what I want to do is I'll click on this grid which shows the months here, this section which shows the months. and I want to check them at the bottom because some of the values are in the negative, they're not in the positive. So since the months will interfere with these that are in the negative, what we do, you click on this section, the field for months, and then Control 1 as a shortcut. When this comes here, what I want to do is the labels now should be below, not next to the axis, but I want them to be at the bottom. So I'll click on low like this. So you see they have been shifted to the bottom here, so that actually they don't interfere with these figures over there. I can close this. Remember, you can make your chart a little bit bigger in case it's congested. The figures are congested. You can widen it and so on and so forth. So having done that, I'll copy this. Actually, I'll cut it from here so that I take it to the dashboard, and where we're going to put it is here. I paste it in there like that. I can add the chart title here. So this one is I'll just call it month on month changes, expense changes. How are they changing from month to month? Let's go and add our last chart. I come in here and I'll go to analyze pivot chart. I'll put the cluster chart again. So this one I get rid of it so that it creates space. So what we do here again, I come here, I'll remove that axis, the primary axis there, because I'll have the data labels on the bars. I'll remove the grid lines, and I can have the chart title if I wanted, like that. And then I'll remove these field buttons. Alright, and the other thing I want to do, you click again on the month field here at the bottom, so that it comes right at the bottom, so that it doesn't interfere like we did in the other one. Control 1, and what we do once you do that, you say labels, and then you select low like that, so that it's at the bottom, so it will show us March like that, just like that. And once we do that, we are going to cut this. So I remove it from there and bring it back in here. I paste it in there. Let me just remove that so that I have enough space. Okay, so this one the chart title, we can call it okay, so our dashboard is coming up. I'll just make sure that everything is well aligned, and I'll just close that, and perhaps this one should be, just align it a little bit, just take it up there, and so do I to this one here, over there like that. Okay, so we have something like this. Now, having done this, you can then see what happens now. As I select, these are actually changing, except these two, because I've not added them to. I can add those to my slicer. To do that, because only two are changing. So to do that, what I want to do is I'll add them to the pivot table, and this is how you add them, so that as you click on these options here, these fields, everything actually changes. As you click on those, everything should be able to change, not only those two. So to do that, you right click and report connections. So the connections I want to report here now are these two which are not selected, you see. So all these selected will be reported. They'll dynamically change as I do. So you see now, because I've added them there, and as I click, everything changes now. Everything responds to my selection. So if I want to see my sanitation expenses, everything changes. The average monthly performance on percentage term, I can see that in April, that was the amount, and so on and so forth. If I want to select everything, everything will be applied to the whole to all of these. This is how you get to work with your dashboards. And dashboards, remember, they are powerful in terms of giving you that summary, the insight straight away without having to get to know the nitty-gritties. So I hope you've gotten one or two things. If you've liked the video, please like it, or you can subscribe for more videos of this nature.